budget this past year. However, every year is different and every year presents its own challenges. And it's all many players competing for the same funds. So just if anyone's looking at from other communities as to what to do, that's the best important thing. But doing all that homework and doing your homework at the local level really truly helps for you to be able to get those dollars at the federal or state level. And it also, what David Bach said earlier with the Mid-Missouri Regional Planning Commission is so vital. Everywhere throughout the state, there are regional planning commissions, and those do get an appropriation from the state tax dollars. And so you need to be able to work, if you're in a different part of the state that isn't covered by Mid-Mo Regional Planning Commission, to work with your local regional planning commission, because they're working already with the state, they're working with legislators, and they also know kind of the process to lay out to be successful. So really great to talk to you all today, and it's been a great honor. And this is so rewarding too, because the state, the state budget looks stacked like 4 feet tall. There's a lot of different projects and things that are spent on in our state. This is something that's going to truly pay back so much. And I'm really excited to see when we actually move this through and actually have students that will be getting jobs and what that looks like in our community.
My name is Billy Sapp. Semi-retired for Emery Sapp and Sons, which started almost 50 years ago. Very much believe in technology in this line of business. As we go forward, I feel like we need more technical colleges all over. The children, the young people, I should say, need a place to go besides the 4 to 6 year universities. And it's a very serious problem in our world because we have technology changing so much in the equipment that we can't keep up with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Billy. Billy said a 4 to 6 year college, but it was a 9-year college for me for 1 bachelor's degree, but I'll tell you about that another time. My name is Bill Lloyd. I'm the general chair of the fundraising campaign. And there are 2 things I want to tell you that we haven't really touched on today. One we may have touched on, but I'm going to give you a little detail on it. And that is that the curriculum for the Ashland campus is very much driven by what local industry here is asking for. And an example of that includes Billy's company. They came to us and said, we need concrete finishers. And so we're envisioning on our 5 acres that we're going to build the building on, pouring some concrete, teaching some guy or gal how to finish concrete, and then hooray, at the end of the day, we've got this chunk of concrete. What do we do with that? And so through working with Dan and Shannon and Sarah and some of her people at Emery Sapp and Sons, we figured out that, hey, we could form up a form just like you'd pour concrete in, but put sand in there and teach somebody how to use the tool to finish concrete. And then, as this is a program where people then go out on site and actually work with a company to do the work, they would go out there and really do concrete finishing. So a lot of creativity goes into that conversation, but I think it points out that if you're part of industry and you need technically trained people, the Ranken folks are very willing to work with you to develop those skill sets that you need. My initiation into this effort probably happened, I don't know what, you hear all kinds of years ago now, and I don't remember how many years ago it was. But we had Stan Schoen, who is the CEO at Ranken here in Ashland. We had several people from the school who were in this meeting and some community leaders. And one of the shocking things to me, and probably what lit my fire to be part of this, was the reality that for probably 3 or 4 decades now, high school counselors have been telling kids 4-year college, 4-year degree. And I think back to when I was graduating high school, which was a long time ago now. And I know that not everyone graduating with me was college material. They didn't want to do it, and they had no interest in a career that would come from a college education. And so why in the world are we telling every kid they need to get a college degree, a 4-year college degree. And so that's what kind of incited me to say, hey, because we've been talking to industry, and we spend a lot of time doing that now, and everyone needs those people that are technically trained. So the nugget that I have for you, things that haven't been talked about, is that it kind of stems from the idea that some folks were worried about duplication when we're talking about bringing another technical college to Central Missouri. And, I certainly wanted to be sensitive to that, but the other side of, and where we really sought most of our information was from industry. And every time we meet with somebody, several of you, they go, oh, yeah, we need more. And so, is it duplication or not? What's the long-term issue here? And it goes back to that coaching that high school counselors gave: go to a 4-year college, get a bachelor's degree in a 4-year college. And so my thought, and I think something we have to begin working on soon, is that we've got the funnel that we're trying to get folks into, to get them the training, to provide this pipeline of technically trained people. We need to start getting into the schools with an effort to say to kids, you need to think about this. So, we've got, Ranken has this wonderful thing with the middle schoolers where they go to, camp in the summer, and they work on robots, and they build go-karts, and they weld, and they do all these things. Well, those are 5th and 6th graders. And so you have a moment with them, and then you don't touch them again perhaps until high school, and maybe it's even sophomore or junior in high school. I think we need to make sure that we've got, and I'm going to call it a marketing effort, to work with the schools consistently to spread this message that, hey, there's another path here. And by the way, it's lucrative. You're not going to accumulate the same kind of debt that you do in a 4-year university, and you're going to start earning quicker, and you're going to be able to provide nicely for your family. So that's my 2 cents.
Okay, my name is Dan Caney. I'm the Vice President for Ranken, and with that, part of the theme is what's next. So I'm on what's called the instructional design team here with Bill and Chris, Jane, Luke, and the whole design process involves engagement with, and that's what we've been talking about, with employers and designing the program. And it works along what's called the ADDIE model. It's an acronym that never heard of before, ADDIE. And the first letter, A, is analysis. And that's really what we've been doing, is engaging with the employers and the companies in the community here and finding out what the needs are. And we have a pretty good idea, because now when we have this conversation and we talk about construction, we can actually look up on the board the design of a room that represents that conversation. So it goes from a conversation to actual visualization, and then the next thing is we're breaking ground and it's going to be real. So it's really exciting to think about that progress of how these conversations are generating real material things, and then beyond that, an active program that serves the needs of the community. So the other thing is too, these conversations are going to continue, because that's how Ranken keeps its programs fresh. We always get input from employers, so we're going to have continuing meetings, call them advisory board meetings, to get the details of how these programs are designed. Now we've identified what programs are needed, and we're going to get into designing them, the very specific structure of the programs, and then we get into the development. That's where the content and all that comes in. So there's a lot of work ahead. When we talk about curriculum, it's actually a process, and a process to customize it to serve the needs of industry. And that's what, what's next is all that work doing that. The other part too, we talk about switching over to the recruitment piece, because that's a critical thing too. You can have all these great programs, but if there's no one entering into those programs, it really doesn't work. So we have to be mindful of how we are fostering that interest. It doesn't always flow naturally. We have to make sure that we give people the information to make the proper decisions and encourage them to follow up on those leads. So that's part of what we're just, starting in the planning phases of giving some of that activity up here to start that interest as well. So really excited to work with the team and looking forward to all of the next steps.
I want to echo something that Dan said. I was very frustrated with Ranken for the first year and a half because I thought that they needed to deliver to us a schedule, a syllabus for what they were going to be teaching at this Ranken campus. But really, and this turned out to be a blessing, and it was, of course, by design, you will see a community's needs evolve over time. Our first contact with one of our local hospitals, they said, oh, well, we need you to create a program all around doing heart catheterizations. Well, that person leaves the hospital, you talk to the CEO, and he goes, well, yeah, we've got 3 people to do that, but I've got 130 that do this job, and I would rather have you train people doing this job. And so I think that they take their time figuring out the curriculum, and that has been a real blessing for our community. I want to just ask each panelist a follow-up question, and Leland, I'm going to start with you as Assistant City Manager of Ashland. So many of us live in communities where when we go in and ask for approval or cooperation on a project, what we typically hear is all the reasons why something can't be done. And so part of, sorry, Billy, I hope I didn't offend you with that. Can I have an amen? So it seems like Ashland has adopted a culture of yes. Let's find a way to get this done. Do you mind, without getting fired, tell us a little bit about how that works?
Well, the job's a lot more fun when you say yes. The problems that come with it are more interesting, and we have a community that embraces that and wants to see change and a quality change here. So it is a balance. And Ashland has a small town and wants to retain that feel, but also wants to progress towards a better future. And that's exciting for our employees. So of course we want to do that. And it brings tons of challenges. As a growing community, your resources will never match the needs. So placing those where they're going to be best spent matters. And it just makes for a better work culture. I think it makes our employees more engaged. No one wants to just be the bureaucrat, although that's part of our life. And I would say even at the state and federal level, we've worked with the EDA and the MoDOT on some of the projects around Ranken Institute. They're willing to do whatever it takes to help make this feasible and possible with the structures that they have, while still being accountable to the ways their funds can be spent. So it's been a very positive situation for everyone we've worked with, including the city of Ashland.
Good, thank you. David Bach, I did not know that a regional planning commission even existed before I became a county commissioner. And so there are regional planning commissions all over the state. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? And for a local community that is watching online, we have learned that our local regional planning commission can be a great help. You helped us with a lot of our grants and everything, but tell people about what a regional planning commission does and how they can contact theirs.
Sure. Thanks, Fred. So regional planning commissions, there are 19 around the state of Missouri. Ours here in mid-Missouri serves 6 counties, but we are all over. We have statewide coverage. So if you are a city, a county, you have a regional planning commission to turn to. We're an organization of local governments. Our board are local government members. So we're created by local governments for local governments. And we do planning, we do technical assistance, we do a ton of grant writing. We're here to help communities, just like in Ashland, to connect the dots. I mean, we've heard a lot today about all these different pots of funding, right? We saw the big bar graph with EDA funding, and Leland just mentioned MoDOT and all these different pots, and there's a lot of dots to connect. So really, when we talk about partnerships and how you get this off the ground, we've heard that word a lot today, is partnerships. Having a regional planning commission as a partner to help connect the dots, to do some of that real legwork, that behind the scenes stuff. Reason, Fred, and most folks have never heard of regional planning commission is we're always kind of behind the scenes, doing that legwork, doing the grunt work, getting that paperwork filled out, and kind of making it happen behind the scenes. So if you need somebody to help kind of make it happen behind the scenes, call your regional planning commission. If you're not sure who that is, you can honestly go to Google MACOG, MACOG. That's our statewide organization of planning commissions. And there's a nice pretty map there that shows by county what county each planning commission serves. So that's your nugget for today.
Very good, great. Shannon, your phone is ringing off the wall right now about what you can do to help Missouri industries get more workers trained. And so before people make contact with you, what are the 3 things that you want them to think about before they reach out to Ranken? Okay, what are the 3 things that you need to know from them?
Before they reach out to Ranken.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we actually reach out. I mean, as far as companies, they're coming from us from all angles, you know, as far as our 5 different divisions that contact us. As far as if you're going to contact us, you know, many of them, what they'll do, and we suggest this, is probably looking at your different job descriptions and so forth in regards to what really do these young graduates, what are they going to need to be able to do to be a good technician for you? And when we say that, maybe that is, you know, it could be industry certifications. We align all of our programs to some type of industry certifications, whether it's automotive with the ASE, the manufacturing with the NIMS, the electrical with the SACA. Hopefully some of you might be recognizing some of those acronyms. But those are some of the things that we want to align our curriculum to. Another thing is would you be, you know, how could you maybe participate in some of these real world internship opportunities we want to give our students? So if you can think about that, because I know in some of you may be union, some of you are non-union. For those of you who are union, you need to ask those questions. And we do work with everyone. We want to work with any type of company that's out there. And yes, we have worked with the unions and so forth. So we do try to make it possible. So whatever that may be, we're willing to work with your company and work with those unions to make it possible. So that's another good question to ask or to think about before you come and see us for the most part. And then if, you know, another thing is we are always, one of the things we'll ask a lot of our companies to do is to come see us. I think when you actually come visit Ranken, and I know many of you have been there maybe multiple times, I think when you actually come see what Ranken is and what we do, our climate, you know, the culture there, I think it really speaks to what we really do, because you're going to notice the moment you step on our campus, we're all about getting our students ready for employment. So when you come see us, we want you to check out our shops, identify, kind of see how it relates to what you're doing. And again, like I said before, we're all about industry feedback. So again, the more we hear, the better.
Good. I think that sometimes the difference between a 4-year institution is oftentimes, as someone who was just paid for 2 very expensive 4-year college educations, oftentimes in a traditional academic setting, you're being taught by people who really haven't been out in the real world in quite some time. And that's just the way that is. It's not a criticism, it's just reality. But I think the nice thing about this vocational education, you are being taught by people who may have been doing that exact same skill trait earlier that afternoon. So anyways, it's nice. Representative Walsh, I want to talk a little bit about the political climate. Mid-Missouri, there is this bright blue dot in a sea of red. And when you think about how things get done in Jefferson City, and if someone is in our audience today that says, well, I wonder if my state rep would be willing to go to bat for me the way that you went to bat for Mid-Missouri. What advice would you give? I mean, understanding the dynamics of being a state representative and the constraints and pressures on your time. I asked you how you were enjoying your time off, and you laughed at me because a lot of people assume that you only work from January to May. Well, that's really, I guess, not true. So what advice would you give? What's the most effective way to work with a state representative to get the kind of advocacy you provide?
Well, thank you. And yes, we do have Republican supermajorities, but the reality is that good ideas are good ideas, no matter where they come from. And honestly, it's like, when this idea was presented to me, I mean, I don't know everybody's personal political affiliations that were bringing, the idea to me when they brought it to me. The fact of the matter is just that, just again, doing your homework, what this team did. And again, like David Bach said, ideas start, over a cup of coffee, where basically, and that's exactly what this did. And it started before I was even part of it, but they kept relentlessly talking to community leaders. And then, they reached out to me and I mentioned, well, here's what the other project did, and they've worked on, getting a slideshow put together and getting, presentations put together and talking to employers and all these various things so that they had answers, so that when I went back to talk to the budget chair, I could, tell them that, yes, they vetted this essentially, they've gone through the process. This is something that's needed. This is something that has a path forward, so that it is, again, being good stewardship of the tax dollars. It is, and a good, wise thing that we should appropriate money towards. Because a lot of times you'll have folks that will have an idea and they'll bring you an idea, but it's like, there's more steps that need to be taken. And sometimes people will give up because maybe their elected official or somebody else will give them kind of some homework to do, so that they have what they need eventually, to kind of move through the process. So don't give up. It's not necessarily that you're being put off or something like that. It's just that we've got to make sure from the state level, and I personally, anything I'm invested in, I want to make sure it's something that's going to be successful. I wouldn't at the end of the day want us to put money towards something and then later on find out that the thing collapsed and failed and essentially tax dollars were wasted. That's a terrible thing. None of us want that. And so, again, just be relentless. Do your homework. Talk. Visit with your regional planning commission. Talk to your local mayor. Talk to your, all the right folks, and bring together, all the folks in the community. And the other thing to know too is it's like, your elected officials play a role, but the business leaders of our community and all of you guys play such an essential role, and you guys are the ones that are making this happen. We can get some funding for you from the state level, but you guys are the rock stars in this whole picture. The way that you're collaborating and bringing everyone together. So just keep being your awesome selves, and don't underestimate the relentless pursuit of moving forward. That's the same thing that Jane said earlier when she was talking about fundraising. Same thing there. You might feel discouraged or something if someone says no, but you just got to pick yourself back up and move forward. So it kind of gets back to that hard work ethic that Ranken Tech exemplifies. Just keep on pushing forward, keep staying positive and optimistic, and you can achieve and will achieve great things.
Thank you.
Billy Sapp, people may around the state may not recognize the company name Emery Sapp and Sons, but they're probably very familiar with the big white trucks and the big blue letters ESS that have us driving in one lane down I-70 all the time. But obviously, you've had a very successful career. You have a very successful company. What advice would you give to community leaders in other communities? Why would you encourage them to get involved in a project like this? This is something that is, this can take some time, and basically you're allowing this community to leverage your reputation and success in the business world with other companies. So what advice would you give to other community leaders?
Thank you, Fred. Ranken project here is very, very important to our business. We have trouble hiring help today, no matter what type it is. Our technology has changed so much, and I started back in 1973. We started moving pavers and stuff off of a string line. Nowadays, we do it off a satellite. So it takes a lot of technology to keep us moving forward. We do the same thing with dirt. You can't just get on a dozer nowadays and go build something. It's run by the satellite, maybe not the operation of the machine, but the grades and control. And this gets more and more every day. Robots are coming at us. We know they're happening, and we got to be ready for it. We don't have mechanics anymore. We have technicians. So it just goes on, and we need this type of operation so we have people to pull from.
Lord, I'd like for you to just to make a comment about the fundraising efforts themselves, and what are the lessons that you've learned? What is something you would not do again, and what is something you wish you had known about before you started the process?
I'm not sure how I'm going to answer that, Fred.
Well, we all know something you wouldn't have done again, but anyway.
You know, so the business of fundraising for a local community leader is different than what Jane does. Jane does it for a living, and she's very good at it. And she has no qualms about coming to you and saying, "I want some money." As a community leader, and I think many of you know this, you get asked to help on this effort or that effort, and you do it because you care about your community and you care about the causes that funds are being raised for. After a while, you walk down the sidewalk and you notice your friends kind of going like this as you're approaching. They know that you're going to ask them for money. They just don't know what it's for this time. On the Ranken Tech project, you know, clearly it falls into a category of something that is needed. We've got a clear problem that we don't have enough technically trained people. We have a solution that a school like Ranken Tech can help solve that problem. They can technically train people. And so the challenge is, you know, how do you get everybody in Central Missouri to go to St. Louis to attend Ranken Tech? And the answer is you don't, because after they go to St. Louis and they've done this this training with the local company in St. Louis, but when they get finished and they've got that piece of paper and all the training and knowledge, they really want to come back to Central Missouri. That's where their roots are. That's where their family is. That's what they're familiar with. And so I think the idea of Ranken setting up satellite campuses is a great idea. And so we've got the problem and we've got a solution. And so how do we get Ranken Tech here? And, you know, much like the state budget process, where they want to see that local people are engaged and willing to put some money up for it, Ranken wants to make sure that the community really wants them to be here. And so, you know, the fundraising effort, as painful as fundraising is sometimes, if you really believe in the cause, it's not really that, it's not so much painful. The challenge goes back to something that somebody mentioned earlier today, and that is that when you put a group together like this to carry out this project, typically you ask a bunch of people who are doers, and those people they're doers in a lot of different ways, a lot of different efforts. And so they're busy people. And so the challenge probably more than anything has been having the time to touch all the many people that we need to. Things that we might have done differently. You know, in an ideal world, we would have had a larger team to go out and spread that challenge of asking enough people to get enough yeses to raise all the money. But that's an ideal world. You know, we've had a good team. We have a good team. We're not quite there yet, and we don't want to let that message go unheard today, because all that we're talking about today depends on us completing that task. But it's been a great run. And again, I think going back to the really core of it is, if the effort is worth it, it's not so much work. It's just a matter of doing the daily routine, touching the base, and getting the job done.
Thank you. Okay, Dan, I'm going to give you the wild card question, and here's the rule: you cannot mention the word Ranken anywhere in your comments. Okay, so it's no secret that you are well seasoned. What when you look at Perryville and you look at Troy, and you look at Winslow, you look at the communities where Ranken has come into play. How have you seen communities transformed or changed as a result of offering a robust vocational education?
Sure. Yeah, it does have an impact, and I have seen with the different communities the benefits of having that technical piece to it. I'll break it down onto a student level. I can remember in creating the Perryville Industrial Engineering Technology program. There was a group that was moving through, and we have them going on these internships, the work experience piece that helps develop them. And they're working with a supervisor who we help train to be a mentor. And one of the things feedback-wise with the groups that were coming through, and I was working with the point person for the company, was that it's a real pain to have these people here because I have to supervise them, and they're real green, and they really don't, because what we do is we put them out there before they're trained completely. So it's, kind of a partnership in that. So the feedback initially over the first semester or two was that this was, really kind of an aggravation for these mentors and supervisors. They weren't real happy about that. But then there was this email one day that popped up, and it was from one of the supervisors, and he was blasting out that there was this problem on the line at this company that had involved what was a backup on this conveyor, because the situation was that as these machines were doing all these automatic pieces, at some point the process broke down and they couldn't figure it out. And there was two of the Ranken interns working in that cell, and he said that they actually analyzed the problem, came up with putting some kind of an optical sensor in there, and then programming that, and that broke free that process, kind of smoothed it out. And he was actually, for the first time I saw a positive feedback and shouting out, hey, this group is really amazing, give me more. So that's the process of what it takes. In the beginning, they're not productive, but over time, that investment pays off.
Very good.
Yeah. Let's give our panel a round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you all. Oh, you got the buzzer, yes. Joe Angie and Sarah Snodderly, Tim Crockett, if you guys could come up, we're going to wrap up. This is our wrap up. The governor signed a proclamation that as soon as we're done, you get the rest of the day off. And so you don't have to report back to work. Grab a sandwich over there and take it home and tell your spouse you made dinner for them. So you really can't have the rest of the day off. We wanted to get a panel of our partners up here that could really talk about how they plan to work with Ranken and how they plan to use what's available to them, and maybe talk a little bit about the need. But our panel consists of Sarah Snodderly, and she is with Emery Sapp & Sons, ESS, Tim Crockett with Crockett Engineering, and Joe Angie, who is with Hubble up in Centralia. And so I'm going to turn the microphones over to them and just talk a little bit about your expectations and what you hope to see come from this relationship. And if you're prepared, I know I sent you questions last night, but if you prepared for those too, please answer those. All right. Sarah, we'll start with you.
So we're finding with the workforce today that establishing as many partnerships as you can is vital. There's no one direction you can head as far as finding skilled workers out there. And we feel like this is going to be a very valuable partnership for us. As Billy said, technology continues to evolve and we can't keep up with it. So we are constantly seeking out those different individuals who are interested and excited to learn more. The construction industry itself has changed a lot over the years. And I think just educating individuals on what it is today and what that looks like and the great opportunities that are out there. I think this is going to give us a great, hopeful pipeline of individuals who can come and work out with the many partners that we have through the 7 counties and really make a difference. There right now, there is not enough people out there to go around to provide for all the work we have to get done.
Can you talk a little bit more about your company, the fact that it's an ESOP and just how big it is?
Yep. So Emery Sapp & Sons right now is currently 1,600 employees. We span 4 states: Missouri, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and currently in this region, we employ 535 employee owners. We are an ESOP, which is a huge piece to our culture. When Billy was getting ready to step back just a little bit and go a different direction, he wanted to give this company back to the employees that helped him build it through the years. And that was really important to him. Billy's great. He's still in our office almost every morning, walking the halls. And ESOP, it drives you as a culture, as a company, because you have skin in the game. You're there. Everything you do has to help push that needle forward. And you cannot, if something gets damaged, you're like, hey, that's coming out of my ESOP. That's part of what I've built and what I'm trying to drive. So you have a very prideful way about you as an employee owner.
Tim Crockett with Crockett Engineering. We're an engineering company here located here in Central Missouri. We're certainly not 1,600 employees. We're just nearly 40, but we do work in about 28 states. It was mentioned earlier today about having to, or talking to our students about not needing a 4-year technical degree. And I think that maybe as Don that spoke about, doctors and lawyers and engineers and those type of individuals aren't suited for Ranken. And when you look at an engineering company, you think, well, maybe you guys are all 4-year degree individuals. Of our 40 individuals that we have in our firm, only about 9 or 10 are engineers. The rest of them are our support staff. They are critical key elements in the construction industry that we need and we need trained. And they're not 4-year degree individuals. And so when we look at Ranken as an opportunity to come here in Ashland, it's going to be a great partnership with us. We're looking to partner with Ranken, to work with Ranken, to come in and help train our future workforce. And there's been discussions from Ranken today about how they seek out industry, and they go out to industry and they figure out, hey, what do you need? I'll testify to that. They did that. They came to me and said, what do you need? What do you see your industry needed in Central Missouri in the future? This is before they created curriculum, before they created, what courses they're going to offer. They asked industry leaders, what are they looking for? What do we need? It's pointless to have trained individuals if there's no job opportunities for them. They want to know where those jobs are. And so that was a key element. There's also been questions about why. Why do we need another technical college here in Ashland? We need another one here in Central Missouri. You have another one down the road, and you got some in St. Louis. I'm here to tell you, we're one of those employers, one of 400 employers that are going to job fairs. And it's very discouraging as an employer when you go to a job fair and you have 400 or 500 employers sitting in the room and you have a limited number of applicants coming through that door. You're like, man, look at all the people I have to compete with. And then you stack that on top of the fact that you're not local. We're going to, other side of Jeff City. We're going to Warrensburg. We're going to Northern Missouri. We're going to St. Louis. We're going to Kansas City. Now we have to draw those people in. We have to attract them back to Central Missouri or to Central Missouri. Some of these people have never been here. Why do I want to go to Columbia? I've never been there. I don't know what Columbia is like. It's not my home. The individuals that, the young individuals that have left Central Missouri to go to those tech schools, it's also hard to draw them back as well. They've been there for a few years. They've gotten job opportunities. They've created partnerships with other companies. They got a significant other that they've met there that's going to keep them there. There's a lot of reasons why they don't come back here. And so it's hard to draw them back. So why do we want one here in town? I think it's important to have one in Ashland because it keeps all the young people here. It keeps them local. It keeps them where they want to be, and then we can reach out and draw from them. And so as a local employer, I'm really excited for what Ranken has to offer, both on the technical side as well as the location which it's going to be. So we're excited for that.
I'm Joe Angie, and I'm with Hubble in Centralia, and most people have no idea who Hubble is. You probably know it as A.B. Chance. Okay, the business was started well over 100 years ago. And we have two business units in Centralia, one that manufactures what we call linemen's tools. And they manufacture tools that linemen use when they're working on energized power lines. And our second business is in the construction and this, what we call the civil side. So anchoring products are our number one product. And so if you think about a power pole and a line coming down from the side and it's tied off to something in the ground, we probably made that. Welding is a big part of our business on the construction side. We continually have openings for welders. So we've done a number of things to try to address that. Your very typical things that you would think of with job fairs and recruiting and trying to retain the people that you have. But we've also gone another direction, and that's automation. And not to eliminate jobs, but to take the place of people that we can't hire. And so I know when I've taken the Ranken folks through the facility, they were a little taken aback at the amount of automation that we have in the facility. And we're going to continue to do that because that's a way for us to fill positions, if you will, that we don't fill today. We have been on our campus in total, including our customer service group that's there, we have about 700 employees in Centralia. We have been short about 15% of our workforce for the last 2 years. And so we've had to be a little bit creative about what we do and how we do things. The Ranken opportunity for us is really twofold. One is we need welders, and the good news is today I got a line on 2 of them. They may be a few years out, but I got a line on 2 of them. But welding is our number one priority that we're going to need help with because that part of our business is not going to go away. The second area is as we automate more, we need more technical support. And so whether it's maintenance people or what we call kind of a step up from the maintenance guys on the floors, technicians that deal with the robotics and the automation, that's another key thing for us. And we plan to add more of those folks in the future. So, it's been a challenging environment. I don't think we're unique in this at all. Every other manufacturer that I talk to has the same problem. We have a lot of people at Hubble that have been there a very long time. I have one gentleman that works in our tooling area that's been there 52 years. But all of his colleagues are retiring, and we're not able to replace that skill level fast enough. And so that's the challenge for us.
A quick follow-up question for all three of you, but as we look at sort of generational differences in the workforce, where you have baby boomers that are starting to think about retirement, and you have Generation Xers, Generation Yers coming up, how have you seen sort of the hierarchy of needs for these different generations change and evolve in recent years? Because I think that's a big part of the consideration is that someone who's in their 20s has very different needs than that baby boomer that came to you 30 years ago. So as you have seen sort of your workforce change and evolve over the years, how have you seen the needs of these younger workers evolve?
So I would say one of the biggest changes we are experiencing is it's not about wages, it's about time. They want more time. You tell them they're going to work 60-hour work weeks, and that scares the heck out of them. Weekends, no, I don't want to do that. I think one of the things that we don't realize with COVID, how COVID impacted us, also is when we were all forced to be at home. Those people that were constantly on the road traveling, they got used to being home. They don't want to travel now. So we're experiencing that as well. But time, you think it's pay, but it's not about pay. It's all about time and flex hours, or can I work from home? Those different pieces that we're really experiencing. That's probably our biggest difference as of right now.
One thing that we're experiencing, or we're seeing a difference in generations, is the older generation came to us looking for a job. You know, they wanted to come to us, they wanted to, you know, basically provide for their family and have a job. The newer generation is looking for a career. They want a path forward. How can I look for advancement? How can I come to your company and what can you offer me as far as starting here and moving up the chain? You know, historically, we've always looked at a 4-year degree as someone, you know, okay, well, they're going to have the career and everybody else has the job. That's certainly not the case anymore. Not at all. You know, it doesn't matter what your degree level is. What depends to us is how hard do you try, how well can you learn, and how well can you adapt. And when we look at those individuals that are taking those steps, they're the ones who are advancing. And so really, the 4-year degree, the 2-year degree, it's really immaterial to us. What we're looking for the individuals who want to apply themselves, that are looking for advancement, that want that career, that say, okay, I want to use this. What's it going to take to go to the next step? We have a lot of folks in our office that have a 2-year certificate that are at the top echelon of where we're at. I mean, they're right below ownership, and it's not because, you know, they got a 2-year degree. It's because they applied themselves. They took that 2-year degree and applied it to what we need them to do with it. And they've surpassed 4-year degrees. And so this whole conception about 4-year, 2-year, and all of that, I mean, that really kind of frustrates me in a lot of aspects, because that's not what we really want. We really want folks that want to apply themselves. And so, Fred, what you say is yes. You know, the older generation came to us looking for a job. They didn't really look for advancement. The younger generation, can I take this 2-year certificate and apply myself and create a career out of it? Absolutely. That's what we see.
I think the biggest change we see is, as was said, time. That's the biggest thing. You know, being in a manufacturing environment, you know, overtime is a part of the culture, and people don't want to do that anymore. People don't want to work on different shifts. So a typical second or a third shift, we have problems attracting people to that. So, you know, we had to do some other things. We right now have a trial going on with a 4-crew system that gives people, you know, they work 3 days 1 week, 4 days the next week, and every other weekend they have a 3-day weekend. So we're trying that. It seems to be working pretty well. It's been received by the employees pretty well. The downside to a 4-crew system is you need more people. So that's been an issue for us, and we'll continue to work on that. The second area is work ethic. It's hard to keep people off their phones. And I'm sure, you know, people see that all over the place, but when you're in a manufacturing environment and somebody's trying to run a piece of equipment and they've got their phone in their hand, it's a problem. It's first off a safety problem. But secondly, you know, they're not very focused in their work, and that is a big problem. We have one Ranken graduate that I know of in our business, and he's a welder. And when we went on a tour, I think it was Jane that asked him, what did he learn at Ranken? And I think he gave the best answer you could hope for. He said, they taught me how to work. And that's what I'm impressed with the Ranken program, is they are grading people on their work ethic. And that's a problem that we have in our business. And it's good to see that somebody is going to come to work every day. They're going to be on time. They're going to be cooperative, and they're going to do what they're asked to do. And that's a welcome change, and one that we need to continue to foster.
I'll open it one last time for any questions from the audience. If anybody has a question for not only this panel, but anybody in the room, anything that you heard today that you may want more information about. Jane.
I just want Sarah to tell us what her job is.
Okay.
Yes.
Sarah, would you tell us what your job title is and what you're responsible for at Emory Sapp?
I'm a company-wide workforce director, so I'm the person out finding people.
Okay. That was important.
Yeah. Sarah Snodderly. Do I need to spell it for you? Okay. All right. Any other questions? You know, I would like to wrap up by just thanking MU Extension for their leadership in the state and being willing to help the citizens of Missouri tackle a very difficult subject, workforce development. Finding an available workforce is something that we're all struggling with. It's refreshing to have a university system and the extension division really make an effort to be relevant and respond to the needs of Missourians. And I think that is something that makes them stand out across the country as the extension. I want to thank again all of our participating partners. Once again, Bill Lloyd with Bell Bank for providing lunch, and for being able to, the Ranken folks for that, you're getting Ranken up a lot of miles coming back and forth to Missouri. We appreciate your investment in this community. Thank you to the YMCA, Kip. Thank you for being such a great host. And we appreciate all the people who've already stepped up to the plate to support this effort. Bill?
You want to say something about the Eagle Foundation and being back?
Oh, great point. Thank you very much. So in the last few weeks, we have been able to activate a 501c3 not-for-profit organization who will be responsible for collecting all of our donations going forward. So if you have a company that you work for, or company you work with, or if you're just got more money than you know what to do with, we would like for you to make a contribution to this effort. And it is tax deductible through the Eagle Foundation. And again, the executive committee can get you all the paperwork you need for that, but it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And so that is in place. Thank you, Amy Patia, who is out there in the ether, running this from India Extension, for all of your work in coordinating this today. We appreciate your help and support. I think that we are adjourned 45 minutes early, take the rest of the day off.